MURAMANA Kai'Sa is a very strong build currently in the meta that started first in Korea. This new build is a little weaker at the start of the game but scales insanely well into the mid and late game. Her Itemisation Rain will do a lot of damage when combined with a MURAMANA and once upgraded. She's also got a really strong attack speed steroid which comes from her supercharger and also briefly grants her true stealth when upgraded, which is great for repositioning in a team fight if caught in a bad position. Her killer instinct is a very flexible ability as well. Use it to either get on top of an enemy to delete them or use it more defensively to leap away and acquire a shield. She's a very versatile champion all around, even when it comes to her item build. You have multiple options when you're itemizing and have the ability to go for a high ability power or attack damage build depending on what your team needs. This will make Kai'Sa a great pick even early on in the draft because if your team did end up going for a high attack damage heavy build, you can always just go for magic damage instead. Although Kai'Sa is a very strong champion in today's meta, she still comes with her weaknesses. First, she's not going to be the strongest champion in the early game. She does scale very well, but making it through those first few levels can be a struggle for you. This is amplified even more when you go for this tier build. You'll have more access to mana, but will have no added damage for the first little bit in the game. Then of course there is the fact that Kai'Sa has a fairly small attack range as well. This will allow those longer range AD carries like Caitlyn the ability to harass you in the early game and make it a big struggle for you. Just focus on farming as much as you can and trade whenever you get an isolated Itemisation Rain for a big chunk of damage on your enemies. Finally, in order for Kai'Sa to fully shine, you'll also need to obtain your passive evolutions. This will require either a lot of attack damage, attack speed, or magic damage, so it will take a rather long time to obtain. Once you do have them, however, Kai'Sa will be fully online and start scaling very well. For your rune setup, you'll want to run Press the Attack as your keystone. Ever since Fleet Footwork was nerfed, it's by far the best keystone on Kai'Sa. After 3 auto attacks on your enemy, you'll deal a big chunk of extra damage and also make them vulnerable. This will increase all damage they take for between 8 and 12%. It's a great keystone to have, especially in the bottom lane, because it will also increase the damage your support champion deals when they are vulnerable as well. I'd then like to move on by picking up Triumph. It's a really strong rune right now because you will receive 12% of your missing health and 20 additional gold on a takedown. Then follow this up by getting Legend Bloodline. This rune will give you 12% lifesteal once you finish stacking it, which is really strong on Kai'Sa because in most situations it'll be fairly hard to fit a lifesteal item into your build unless you need Mercurial Scimitar. Then finish up that precision side by getting Coup de Grace. This makes you deal 8% more damage to champions that have less than 40% health, which is a great way to help you finish off those low health targets. As for my secondary runes, I like to go for the Inspiration category and grab Magical Footwear and Biscuit Delivery. Magical Footwear is a very strong rune since you will get free boots and will allow you to get your Manamune as quickly as possible. These boots are also going to give you 10% extra movement speed, which will remain even when you upgrade your boots, so it just is great even for that little extra mobility. Then, since Kai'Sa doesn't have the best lane phase, Biscuit Delivery will just give you a little bit of extra sustain and also increase your mana permanently. For your summoner spells, you want to go for Flash and Heal. Flash is easily the best summoner spell in the game and has many uses. You can use it offensively to help you secure a kill that's too far away from you, or you can use it more defensively and use it to dodge a skill shot or escape a gank. Heal is then your second best option, which is also very strong, especially in the bottom lane. You can use it to save both yourself and your teammates as well, which is great since you'll have a support with you in the bottom lane. It will also give you bonus movement speed for 1 second when activated as well, so it can help you escape from enemies that way, or even chase them if you need to use it offensively. Remember, however, that Ignite and Grievous Wounds will reduce the effectiveness by 40%, so you may need to use it early if your enemy has either. To make good use of your passive, you'll want to try and stack your Caustic Wounds on the enemy as much as possible. At 4 stacks, they will be consumed, dealing % target's missing health damage. This passive ability will also allow you to upgrade your abilities when you reach a certain number in each stat. You will want to try to upgrade your Itemisation Rain as quickly as possible since it will greatly increase your damage with the MURAMANA build. As for your Itemisation Rain, you will want to use it to kill minions as well as poke the enemy champion. This ability will release a swarm of 6 missiles or 10 when upgraded, which is a great way to last hit multiple minions at the same time and perhaps get some onto the enemy champion as well for harassment. Try to make Itemisation Rain hit isolated targets whenever possible for some high burst damage. Getting all 10 shots on a single target while you're also hitting them with auto attacks can bring down a target almost instantly depending on the champion that you're attacking. Your Void Seeker is then a great way to harass the enemy champion from a long range and also last hit minions that are too far away from you. It has a 3000 range, so you can get some damage on the enemy champion with a well-aimed Void Seeker even if you're off their screen. Void Seeker is also strong because it will apply 2 plasma stacks, or 3 when it's upgraded, to the enemy. That means you can also use this in a close range as well to quickly get 4 stacks on the enemy champion and deal your passives damage. Since it does have a 3000 range, it's also great to scout brush as well when you are moving around to make sure you're safe and you don't get caught off guard. You'll want to make sure you're using your supercharge when engaging into a fight for its attack speed steroid. It gives between 40 and 80% attack speed, which will greatly increase your damage output and make your passive damage proc really quickly. Supercharge is also really strong as a reposition as well. It gives between 55 and 75% bonus movement speed and will even stealth for half a second as well when it is upgraded. Use this to keep the enemy off you as much as possible throughout the game so you can get off your damage as safely as you can. Your ultimate killer instinct is great as both an engage or a reposition and escape. It has between a 1500 and 2500 range, so it's great when used to jump onto a marked target far away from you. The shield provided is also a very strong part of the ability as well and can make you a lot harder to bring down whenever you have it. For your skill order, you'll first want to put a point into your ultimate whenever possible at 6, 11, and 16. Next, make sure you focus on maxing your Q as quickly as possible. This is your main source of damage outside of your auto attack, so you need points in this ability as quickly as you can. You'll then want to focus on maxing your E ability second. This ability is great because it has both a scaling attack speed and move speed, so it's great to get points in as well. This obviously means you'll have to max your W ability last, but you will want to point early on in the ability to help last hit minions that are far away from you, or to just poke the enemy champion and also apply your plasma stacks. During the lane phase, you'll first want to try to hit level 2 before the enemy bot lane, if it's possible. This will give you a big advantage early on in the lane phase and will allow you to go aggressive and trade damage with them. Besides this, you'll then want to focus on last hitting minions. It's important to get your mana immune as quickly as possible so you can get it stacking. The faster you can turn it into a MURAMANA, the better. It is a really big part of your mid-game power spike, so getting it as early as possible is very important. Other than that, you'll just want to be trading with the opponent when you feel like it's safe. Anytime you can get an isolated Akathian Rain on them, it's usually going to be worth it, but minions will usually be around you. Against the harder lanes, you want to try to keep the minion wave near your tower, but not getting hit by it. Safely farm in front of it, and if your jungler does come for a gank, you can always use your killer instinct near marked targets to get on top of them and go for an all-in. When teamfighting on Kai'Sa, you want to follow the golden rule of staying on your team's backline and attacking the enemies closest to you. This is going to keep you in a safe position so the enemy won't have an easy time getting on top of you. Hit the enemy carries when it is possible, but if you have to be on a tank first, that's fine. Kai'Sa is a champion that will have a ton of damage once she's scaled and can kill even the tankier targets very quickly. Remember that killer instinct is great both offensively and defensively, so you have to determine how you're going to use it before the fight. If there is assassins trying to dive you, it's probably going to be best to use it to create a gap between yourself and them, but if you do see a low health target you can finish off, it's also great to jump on them and kill them after. Kai'Sa is a very strong champion in the later stages of the game and will often struggle against strong early game champions or ones that outrange you. Sivir is one champion that is great against her because of her boomerang blade and ricochet damage. Dodge as much of it as possible and focus on farming and scaling. Then of course there's Jinx as well, which is a champion that will easily outrange you with rockets, so try to keep a distance when you're not farming. Also, try not to get in long trades where she can ramp up her pow pow minigun damage because you're not going to win those. As for Kog'Maw, you want to play around the cooldown of his Bio Arcane Barrage. He will do a ridiculous amount of damage when it is activated, so wait for it to fall off, and then it's time to trade. Assassins are also something squishy AD carries will usually struggle against, and these are champions like Talon, Zed, and Fizz. Against these champions, try to create a gap between yourself and them, but these champions do have a lot of mobility as well, so that can't always happen. Therefore, it is very important to play safely and only trade with them when their abilities are on cooldown. Stick near your support or something else that can help peel for you in team fights so you can deal your damage from a safe position. For your item build, you want to start with either a Doran's Blade or a Doran's Shield. When you feel like the lane isn't going to be that hard for you, you'll always want to go for the Doran's Blade, but if you feel instead that it's going to be very hard and there's a lot of poke damage, then you'll want to opt for the Doran's Shield instead. Also, of course, make sure you pick up a health potion and a warding totem as well. Now for your boot choices, you have the Berserker Greaves, Ninja Tabbies, and Merc Treads. Berserker Greaves will usually be the best option since it gives you a lot of attack speed and works towards your passives upgrade, but you may want Ninja Tabbies against high AD teams, or Merc Treads against magic damage or crowd control. For your core items, we first of course have the Manamune, which will turn into a MURAMANA when fully stacked, and the Ginsu's Rageblade. Manamune is great on Kai'Sa because it converts 2% of your maximum mana as bonus AD, which will give you your Q evolution really quickly. Then we pick up that Ginsu's Rageblade because it has both attack damage and attack speed, which is also nice for those evolutions. The best part about the item, however, is it does have a passive that makes every third hit apply on-hit effects twice. Since Kai'Sa's Plasma is an on-hit effect, this will be great because you will be able to detonate it a lot more often. At this point, we're going to have to decide if we're going for an attack damage or ability power based build. If we are going for the attack damage based build, we have some great options. The first one that you'll probably want to pick up is a Runaan's Hurricane. This is a really solid item because you will get a lot of attack speed and critical strike chance, but your attacks will also spread to other targets, giving you some nice AoE damage. Once you have this item, you may want to consider an Infinity Edge. This gives you attack damage and more critical strike chance, but also makes those critical strikes deal extra damage as well. Those two items combo really well together. If you instead want something more defensive, you can go for a Guardian Angel or Mercurial Scimitar. Guardian Angel is a great item because you will be able to resurrect when you die when it's off cooldown. Then Mercurial Scimitar is a great way to break crowd controls, and it gives you some lifesteal in the build as well, which is just a fantastic thing to have. If you instead wanted to go for an ability power based build, you first have the Gnasher's Tooth. This is a very strong item in an AP build because it gives you a nice chunk of ability power, but also attack speed, which will allow you to still upgrade your E ability when you still go for AP. We then have two really solid defensive items as well, with the Zhonya's Hourglass and a Banshee's Veil. Zhonya's Hourglass is my favorite because you will be able to activate it to go into stasis, making you invulnerable for 2.5 seconds. Don't sleep on the Banshee's Veil, however, because it is really strong as well and will allow you to block a spell that hits you every 40 seconds. Basically, in the end, for your items, you want to get your MURAMANA and your Ginsu's Rageblade, then the boots of your choice, and then you have to decide if you're going for an ability power or attack damage based build. And that's everything I've got for MURAMANA Kai'Sa. If you guys did enjoy the video, please make sure you thumb it up, and if you are new here, please subscribe. But other than that, take it easy, have a good day, and peace.